Hi, welcome to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. And yes, I am the woman who solved my own crime using astrology. We are going to get into a little bit of astrology later to go on with our Neptune series, but we're going to start with the cards first, the handmade cards, because those seem to be the most valuable and hopefully shifting our country into a better direction. So I'm going to start by saying we need moral codes in our country that don't actually lack morals, right? Because right now we have things that say they're moral codes but are anything but. So this has to be changed. And ladies, women's rights are in dire danger right now. This began with the packing of the Supreme Court and the attempted coup. And there are many groups within this country right now who want complete subjugation of women. That's a fact. They want you knocked up at home and completely dependent, right? So that you don't have choices or options or a voice in your life. And they tried to do this to me. So if you want to know what's potentially coming if we don't start standing up for ourselves, just have a look at what happened to me from this group. I got sex trafficked, or at least there was an attempt to do so, but I'm pretty sure it went through. There were filthy pictures of me sent to inmates, which I believe they were sold. Again, this is how they feel about women. So you need to know this, because if we don't fight back, this is what's coming. Then they posted a video on YouTube that said, you have the body of a porn star, right? Because that's how they feel about women. Then I received sexualized divine feminine videos. I'm told they also ran a fake reality TV show out of my house, which was really nothing more than a porn show that they charged for. Okay, this is what we're all headed for if women do not stand up, band together right now and say this is unacceptable behavior, that this moral code has no morals. Now, with the fake reality TV show, which they may have actually partially been running by using apps disguised as apps on my phone that actually were Wi-Fi connections, we had a lot of privileged, wealthy viewers who thought that it was perfectly okay to voyeur in a woman's house, in her shower, all the sex acts, everything. So money was taken for this, right? Because this is all part of the plan for our future, the where we're headed with how we treat women in our country if we do not fight back. They want to take complete control of our bodies, turn us into baby machines. And some of what is fueling this, and it's just only a part of it, is that white nationalists, their fears are fueling this. And it's because they feel like they are going to be replaced by little brown babies, and they just can't stand the idea. So the answer to their racial fears is to ruin the destinies of women. This is what's coming in the direction we're headed right now. If this goes through, we will have no voice in things that matter, and we barely have a voice right now. I think we should all be asking ourselves, what moral code treats women this way? You should be asking yourself. Now, if you're a man, maybe you think, well, it's great. Don't you have a daughter, a wife, a mother? Ladies, we are in the fight of our lives. We, especially women of my age, we've been granted many rights because of the fight that other people have put up on our behalf. It's time to re-engage. We're fed myths that don't hold any water whatsoever. Our democracy is very much at risk. There was a coup, and that was followed up by the second coup, which was the big lie. So everything is hanging on a string right now. And in every country in the world where they go to a dictatorship, it is run completely by tyrants, usually mentally disturbed men who have some form of mental illness like malignant narcissistic personality disorder, sociopathy, sadism, etc. All you have to do is look all around the world and see exactly how those regimes turn out. They're always tyrants, every last one. They end up being horrible regimes that abuse rights religiously. And who tends to suffer the most? Women, minorities, people of different faiths, different sexual orientations, and anybody who's slightly different than the norm. Those are the ones that end up with violence, abuse, harassment, that sort of thing. This is where we're headed if we don't turn this ship around. Books in our country are already being burned, some of which are history books, because people don't want to look at our past, even though there are vast lessons in being learned from where we've been. How I was treated as a woman is exactly what you can expect if this goes through. Exactly, because this is how they feel about women. I was put through complete filth for standing up for my country. Complete filth. Does this look godly to you? Somehow in America, we have a God who hates women. How did that occur? How did a loving, divine, beautiful being who loves every hair on our head turn into someone who would take sex videos of a woman and then post a video that says you have the body of a porn star? How did this happen? How did this happen? And better yet, what are you going to do to fix it? Don't you have mothers? Don't you have wives? Don't you have daughters? Don't you have sisters? Don't you have aunts? What kind of inhumane treatment is this? But this is where we're headed, ladies, if we let this sort of regime change take place. And it's not just ladies, because all minorities, you're going to face the same sort of thing. And if you're different in any way, you too are going to go right under the bus. One of the more horrifying things was that women actually participated in the abuse of other women. If you appreciate the rights, the freedoms, the beauty of what America has been in the past, it is now time to demand territories. Start writing letters, start joining together, start forming activist groups. Make sure that your voice is heard. Because, trust me, you don't start packing the Supreme Court and doing things like that unless you intend to continue with a hostile takeover. And we all know the numbers don't work. So where are we heading? To Hitlerville, right? Because that's what all dictatorships become. They all become tyrants who abuse the rights of people. If you love the freedom of what we have been in the past, it is now time to stand up on your legs and scream with your lungs as loud as you can and begin to demand territories so that women's rights and other people's rights can be preserved. You know, I get it. The numbers don't work, but that doesn't mean that we have to turn into a dictatorship. And a real problem with that dictatorship is we now see that the moral code that's running behind it is absolutely faulty. There's no morals in the moral code, because you couldn't possibly treat a woman like this if there was one single bit of morals. And all over the world, women suffer under these kinds of regimes. And I don't mean a little, I mean horrifically. So we've been blessed in this country. It's time to stand up and fight for your rights like it really, really matters, because it does. And by doing territories, everybody can get more of what they want without subjugating and holding down and trying to silence everybody else. Do I mean this? I mean it with all my heart. How I was treated is what you can expect, because that's what they think of women, right? You don't just randomly treat women that way, so we're all subject to this kind of horror if this extreme regime change takes place. And all over the world, women are attacked by these kinds of regimes. Okay, now that we've got that part done, we'll talk a little bit about Neptune in the 12th house. So, again, because it is nice to connect to a moral code that actually does have morals, and I do believe in a God that does have morals. I just hope that we can find one and bring him down to earth. And when he lands in the 12th house with Neptune in Pisces, or just in the 12th house itself, you can actually get some good things happening, right? Because I do believe in a kind, loving, beautiful deity. We just need to channel that in, not one that hates people, that wants Jim Crow laws, that wants to subjugate women and silence their voices. We need a God that loves everybody. That's my wish for Christmas. And in the 12th house, you can absolutely find that. Now, this card says it's a place of escape, and there can be some escapism, certainly. But more importantly, it's a place where we can actually meet the one true divine, the kind, loving God we've all heard about, not the one who wants to stand on the necks of people. So Jesus once said, "The kingdom of God is within you." And when Neptune in Pisces resides in your 12th house of astrology, God is trying to connect with you there. The 12th house is a place where the collective consciousness dwells, but it can also be a place of isolation, hence the word escape here. So it can represent things like hospitals, jails, asylums, meditation centers, and yoga retreats. Perhaps that's why Einstein, who was a Pisces, believed that nothingness, or the 0 point, was where God actually existed. Certainly, it's considered a mystery house, a place where you can peer behind the veil. This is a perfect house for prayer, for meditation, yoga studies, and or hypnotherapy. In this house, if we are listening, we can hear the whispers of God. Expanding your consciousness is key, however you do that. If you are not tapped in, this can also be a place where you can otherwise feel lost in the void. Focus on philanthropy, humanitarianism, and giving to others if you want to tap into the high vibe end of this placement. Find your purpose and meaning in your life and try to be of service to the world. That's how you capture the high vibe portion of a Neptune in the 12th house. And again, we're going to talk about the low vibe when we're through all of the high vibe ones, right? And they're completely different, as you might expect. So how you wish to be of service will be defined by the astrological sign that resides on the cusp of the 12th house. So if you want to learn astrology, you have to learn the language of the signs. And then you need to look up your chart on a free natal chart website. I'll just give you a few examples. Say, for example, if you had Scorpio on the cusp of the 12th house, you might want to finance organizations that support humanity. Or you might want to work in some kind of group or organizations where you can help to transform people who have hit rock bottom and help them to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Or maybe it's a way to transform their beliefs or their connection to God. Okay. Now, if Aquarius is on the cusp, you might want to better the world by bringing forth innovations in science and technology. Mentally supporting or mentoring people from all walks of life could also be in order. And again, learn the language of the signs to see how the action is actually going to take place. So if you have a 12th house Neptune or a strong signature of Neptune and Pisces, this would potentially apply to you if you're using your free will to land on the high vibe end of things. Okay. All right. So now we're going to just do a few more cards just for the fun of it. So, women's wisdom. I think we all need to realize that right now, women's rights are in dire straits and at dire risk. And women, we need to work together to fix where we are. When we have a society that can do what was done to me as a woman, we're in a terrible state, especially when that's coming from a moral code that's supposed to have morals, but is completely lacking in morals. So we need to transform where we are, transmutation. Now, the old saying used to be, when you'd see the snake and it was all chopped in pieces, join or die in terms of the republic. I'm going to say right now, we need to reverse order and say divide or die, right? We all see it's not working. We've got cheating and lies and terrible things happening where we no longer trust our voting system. We no longer trust anything that's going on, and it's happening because we have the two-party system, and you have to kill the other party in order to win, and you have to do terrible things to do it because the numbers don't work. And that's going to get worse and worse and worse as we reach up into 2044 when the demographics are really going to change. So we all know what's afoot. So my solution is divide and prosper. Everybody gets more of what they want. We don't have to do porn videos of women who stand up for democracy. We can then pause and actually maybe revisit our moral codes and see if we can get some morality in there. A few things like that. So it's time, ladies, for you to move forward with confidence. We need to do this. It's so easy for us to rest on our laurels and the things that we've been granted in the past, and those things are all an extreme risk right now. And I mean that wholeheartedly because I have read extensively and I wrote a book, but of course somebody else copyrighted it and stole it. But our rights are in danger. So we need to step forth with confidence, and we need to start writing to people and saying, this shall not pass. We're not going to live this way where we're subjugated, where we're treated like filth just because we're women and because, I don't know, our society is broken. So move forward with confidence. We need to work together, and we need to start writing letters to Biden and Merrick and demand territories so that women can be safe and our rights preserved. We need to become the goddess of our own creation, right? We need to dream into being a world that works for us. Nobody else is dreaming it into being for us. Trust me. It's up to us to do this for ourselves. So we need to envision a world where we have powerful women, where their voices are heard, where you can get an education, where you have rights, where you can have your independence, all of the things that we have and we take for granted, right? And we're in a Western world. And look, we barely even have women in Congress, right? And it's going to get worse if this trend that has begun in 2016 continues. So it's time to demand change and demand territories so women can actually be safe in our country and have rights. And we need to do this because all of us, at least us older ones, we can look back and see how at one time we were completely snared, caught up, right? Back in the 1950s, which is exactly where some people want to put us again, where we had even less rights than we have now, or everybody was home barefoot and pregnant, and you didn't have any options in life. And there are a lot of people that want to put us right back here, and they almost did it. So again, if you don't want to be snared up, if you don't want to have your life dictated by somebody else, or have your whole willpower subjugated, it's time to remember what we used to be, how far we've come, and it's time to fight for more. We need territories to be safe, to have decency, and to have rights as women, because there are many people right now that want to take all of that from us. Trust me. So, as a society, we need a period of deep reflection. And of course, the moon is all about women and families and homes. We've been operating under a lot of illusions. We need to do some self-examination, and we need to look at the distortion, of where we are and how and why we are treating women in this fashion in our country, and how and why some moral codes seem to want to just completely destroy the lives of women. So we need to reflect deeply on this, and my hope is by reflecting deeply on this, we can find a God that actually loves women along with everybody else. I'm all for God. I just want a loving God, right? Not a hate-filled God. I want a God of love and decency and light and beauty. It's time for evolution. It's time for change. It's time for us to stand up. We've been so blessed in this country with rights. So very, very blessed. More so than most countries. And we're ready to throw it away for Hitler? Are you kidding me? Just because we can't think outside of the box, right? All we have to do is make territories that are sociologically aligned. And we're out of this bitter bipartisan war that's going on. And women are just one of the many groups they're going to lose if this goes through. So we need to start distancing ourselves from this kind of chaos, right? And from the things that we see are tearing our country apart, like the big lie, the big cheat, the big steal. We have the fake groups, saying this and that. We're in a meltdown. We need to distance ourselves from the chaos, right? We need to take a big breath in and say, let's use the Aquarian energy of thinking outside of the box to come up with a solution. And we need a solution because otherwise women are going to get thrown completely under the bus. And so are Blacks and other minorities and the LGBT community and people of different faiths. So we need to find a way so everybody wins. Okay. No dominance, one group over the other. No standing on people's necks. No subjugation. Territories sociologically aligned, and then everybody wins, right? We have no need for subjugation. So we need a new direction in our country. We need powerful leadership to help make this shift happen. We need to head towards a brighter future, not a Hitler dictatorship, a brighter future. Now, if there's a territory that wants to Hitler up, have at it, right? Then they can have that down in their territory. But in each of our territories, we need to be able to define what looks like a bright and beautiful world. I want a place where everybody is loved and valued equally and everybody has a say. How about you? All right. So we need cosmic power, right? We need to tap into that God energy and really start searching our souls. And what does it mean to bring God down to earth? And can we find a God that loves everybody? Can we find a God that loves women? Can we draw on feminine wisdom and power to make positive change for your daughters, your wives, your sisters, your mothers, your grandmothers, your aunts, right? I mean, I'm a stranger, but this could have happened to your family, right? This could have happened to the women in your family. This is the direction we're headed. I'm shocked at the level of misogyny that we have. It's completely unacceptable. So we need a radical rebirth. Here we've got the Leo energy. Here's a woman who's drawing on her cosmic energy and powers to make change. She's drawing on the strength of her heart center and saying, we need leadership for women that are going to help protect women's rights and move women forward in this country. And if that means that we have to divide to protect ourselves, we need to do that. When a woman can be trafficked in her own home and sold on a fake reality TV show and have dirty images under a moral code sent to inmates, we have a serious problem, right? And is this the kind of moral code that we want to bring down to earth? Or do we want something that has more light and love and decency involved? These are the very tough questions we need to answer for ourselves as we move into the Pluto return. And the seeds that we set in the next few years are going to determine the next 248. So we need to choose consciously and wisely, because otherwise I fear with the level of corruption and hatred and greed that we have going right now and the utter destruction of our justice system, that we are on the cusp of becoming Russia #2. And I mean that. And I mean it with a good heart. Why? Because I don't think that's where we should be. I think we're better than this. I want to believe that we're better than this. I want to believe that even though I'm a stranger to you, you want better for your own daughters, your own wives, your own sisters. Come to the table. We need to talk. We need territories. I hope everybody has a great Christmas. God bless. Thank you all to everybody who has been helping over many, many, many years to try to bring justice to me. But for some reason, that's just been a really hard thing to do. I know there are good people trying. The King of Swords, I know there are a lot of good people trying, but it shouldn't be that hard to actually bring justice in a just society. And it shouldn't be so hard to have morals in a moral society. So that kind of tells us where we are, right? Okay. I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Love y'all. I think they're shadow banning me, so I don't know if you can like my video on my own channel because they're trying to block my voice, which is precisely why I'm projecting it as loud as I can, right? So the more you try to shut me up, the louder I'm going to get. Anyhow, I'm going to share this with other people. God bless. We need change. Peaceful, decent change. Have a great Christmas.